right. What's going on, good people? How we doing? Happy Saturday to everybody. Hopefully, everybody had a good start to their weekend. Hello and welcome to Late Night Giants Talk. First off, before we begin, let me know if the audio's good. Let me know if the visual is good. I'm excited. We have training camp in 4 days. I believe it's 4 days. 4 days. Right around the corner, football season is finally in effect. I can't even say it's been a long time because it felt like it went by pretty fast. I don't know if everybody else feels that way or anybody else feels that way, but I feel like despite everything that has been going on, it felt like football got here pretty quickly. I might be by myself on that. But before we get started, let me get a quick roll call. Let's see, my man Vaporizer hit me with an early note saying he wasn't going to be able to make it live, but he will be checking us out. Everybody is good. DeMarco Forbes is in the building. Said, Dash was good. Haven't been on your live in a while, but been on the videos. Good job. OKC Donald in the building. What's going on? He says, slowly but surely, we getting close to New York Giants football. It's here. It's absolutely here. Luann with the year. What's going on, Luann? 803 New York Giants says, what's good, Big Dash? Hope all is well. I was supposed to go to training camp on August 1st, but I can no longer make it. I already bought a parking pass. I will sell it to whoever wants it. 100% legit. So we got somebody that's selling tickets on the show, selling parking pass tickets to the show. Let me know why you weren't able to make it. And some other people that couldn't make it had some plans too, man. I think a lot of people are going to enjoy it out there. If you're able to get a hotel room, because I'm seeing that it's sold out. So if you weren't able to get a hotel room, you are SOL for lack of better words. Cringy Grinchy said, what up, chat? Who else is pumped for some football from the New York Giants? I am for sure. All right, Stacy says, blessings, Dash. What's good, fan? Big Blue Doja in the building. Deb Ellis is in the building. Bully Bill says, what's good, Dash? Always nice to unwind after work with the lives. I appreciate that. Again, this is a family reunion for Giants fans. That's the AKA of Late Night Giants Talk. And I do appreciate everybody for vibing with us tonight. I do have some guests with me. I have a panel of Giants fan and Giants content creator. One of them, I've been trying to get him to start his own channel, but he's sitting here beating around the bush a little bit, but I mess with him a little bit. But without further ado, I'm going to start adding these guys in. TP Way is in the building too. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to TP Way's channel. Another fantastic Giants content creator in the building. My man Greg T says, welcome to Big Dash Knows. Big Dash knows what?
Big Dash knows what?
New York Giants football. Let's go. Q Burrow. Shout out to everybody, man. I see it's a full house already. Make sure you hit that like button. All right. So go ahead and add my panel to the live stream. So first is a guy that I have good conversations with all the time, whether it's online or offline. I've been trying to get this man to start his own channel. He is always active in the chats, but shout out to my man, Mark Thompson is in the building. What's going on, Mark? How you doing?
I'm good, Dash. Great to see you. Feels like football is near, isn't it?
Right around the corner, man. Right around the corner. Next up from New York Giants Rush, my man Joker Sean is in the building as well. What's going on, Joker?
What's up, Dash? What's up, Mark? Mark, good to be on with you. I know we have a lot of conversations on football. I know you tune in to Rush a lot. Dash, pleasure being on with you, man. Appreciate the invite.
Nah, I appreciate it. It's been a while.
Yeah.
I know I had you on the stream. I think it was prior to the draft. We were talking.
I think so. Yeah, it was a while ago.
So yeah. It's been a couple of months. So happy to have you on the show. Also, thank you for short notice being able to jump on and talk New York Giants football, because we are fanatics at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
Right? Fanatics. Let me get to some more of these comments. My man Soul Glow is in the building. My man D Illa is in the building. D Illa, how you doing, man? I was joking with the guys backstage, saying that I hope I can get you on, because we need that realness and that pessimism sometime from you to go back and forth. But obviously under the weather, but I appreciate you for still joining in, and I know you will be live in the chat. Joe Edwards says, I'm ready to give them Cowgirls their first loss of the season. 100%. Absolutely 100%. I can't wait, man. I'm gonna ask you guys, man. Obviously when the schedule dropped and we found out that it was going to be the Cowboys, and I'll start with you first, Sean.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the Cowboys again?
Listen, I was like, oh, things are getting back to normal again. I'm like, you remember how long it was? We just felt like we had the Cowboys week 1 for like every year in a row for the longest time. So I feel good. And it made sense. I mean, right? We got Harbaugh as our head coach now, open up with the Cowboys. It just, I don't know. It seemed like that was inevitable is going to happen, but I feel right. I feel good about it. It just feels like everything's right with the world again. Now Giants Cowboys week 1. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, absolutely, and hopefully it's different from the last time.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
Mark, man, how you feel about that matchup, man? When you heard about it?
I wish you didn't say that because I remember 23. I went to that game.
That's right.
And it was horrible.
The weather too, right? The weather was horrible.
Oh, I was so excited for it, and it was such a bummer. Look, I think it's interesting. I think, in a way, it looks to me like, well, except for Philly, almost all the teams have gotten better, and I don't think Philly's had that big a drop off. So this is going to be a really, really competitive division, in my opinion. At least it looks that way to me. So everybody's addressed a lot of their weaknesses and so forth. So let's see how it goes. So, but I'm excited for it because, hey, you don't want to be given anything; you want to take it, right?
Absolutely.
So let's beat those Cowgirls, as I say.
You know what's funny? Like, for me, I love it. I love it because it's right off the bat. And just for everybody, they're going to be new. We're going to be new. If they're dealing with any injuries coming off of the training camp or preseason, we might be dealing with the same things too because we have issues. We got some good news this week with Malik Neighbors, but outside of that, I'm ready for it. And also Sunday Night Football, at Giants Stadium, home opener, first game with Harbaugh. I know the energy is going to be ridiculous. Is anybody going to that game here? Sean, you got a chance to go? Mark, you got a chance to go to the home opener?
I don't think I'm going to make it this time around. I've got a few other things happening. I wish. I looked at it, but I was like, and if I do make it, it's going to be a last-minute decision.
Okay. Yeah, unfortunately, I won't be able to make that flight from Florida up to New York for that opening game. Yeah. But I do plan to go to one of the games this year. But, I mean, listen, like you said, like right off the rip, so we're going to have a good idea what this team is like and what we got and what the season could look like because it's not going to be one of those where in the past it's like, oh, well, the first 4 games are the extension of the preseason. Like, Harbaugh's going to come to try to win this game. So I think we'll have a really good idea of what this team's going to be like. I know it's early, but I think we'll get a good – You know what I mean?
Yeah. Speaking of Harbaugh's enthusiasm, obviously the clips went out. I had a unscheduled live the other night, Thursday night, because it kind of pissed me off the way people were kind of making fun of Harbaugh and his excitement to be coaching the New York Giants. And you have, and it's funny too because some people were like they didn't see what the big deal was. Some people thought it was the funniest thing ever. And for me, I'm just sitting back here like, and I put out the tweet. I'm like, Harbaugh doesn't see the New York Giants the way that some of us see the New York Giants. Like his idea of the New York Giants is Big Blue Wrecking Crew, is all the Hall of Fame coaches that Bill Belichick should have been in the Hall of Fame, but all of the Hall of Fame coaches, Tom Coughlin as well, that been here and even going back to Lombardi and Tom Landry and all this rich history of the New York Giants. And I think a lot of people overlook that. So I'm gonna ask you guys, man. So Sean, how'd you feel about that Harbaugh speech? And again, it was in March. It wasn't like it was last week when he did it, but it was in March.
I mean, it's genuine. That's how him and his brother are. That's how they talk. That's what they say. Like if you followed him enough, right? If you followed that family enough, you know how they sound. And to me, it was genuine. Like he's genuinely excited to be a coach of the New York Giants. He understands the tradition, the history. Unfortunately, we got a lot of younger fans, and nothing against them, but they don't know the same Giants as some of us older fans that have known what it means to be a New York Giant, what it means to be a New York Giant fan, like what the New York Giants are about. Like it is a long storied history of winning in this franchise. It's just not been the last 10 to 15 years, unfortunately. So I think what he was trying to do is he was really wanting the team to understand, the players understand, like this is a privilege to be a New York Giant. Like, and this is a different New York Giants than what's been represented the last several years, and he wanted to get that point across. At least that's how I took it. I don't know your thoughts there, Dash, or Mark, your thoughts.
Yeah, now I'm looking at this comment by Greg T. He said Harbs had a Paul Rudd moment. Look at us from what was that from the Hot Wings, right? Yeah, the Hot Wings. But go ahead, Mark. How do you feel about the clip?
I just think more is being made of it than necessary. I don't even understand what's the whole big hoopla. It was just like a little snippet of obviously a much larger speech. And it was just, emphasizing, okay, we're here. You're playing for the New York Giants. I'm coaching the New York Giants. Let's understand the history and let's go. I mean, as Sean said. So I don't really see what the big deal is, really, to be honest. Like, I was surprised by the whole blow up of that. Very surprised. I couldn't understand it. Made no sense to me.
Yeah, let me ask you guys, do you think it's kind of surreal for Harbs that he's actually coaching the Giants? Like, do you think he kind of feels that way? It's like, man, I'm coaching the New York Giants. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think absolutely. Absolutely. I think
Well, one thing we know about the Harbaughs and his brother Jim, his pops, like they have that type of excitement. They're just those type of coaches, man, and they overly excited to the point of being corny to some people, right? But it's still, to your point, Sean, is authentic. Nothing felt fake. Nothing felt like it was forced or anything like that. It seemed like it was genuine excitement. And again, the way that I see it is he's looking at the New York Giants as a whole and the story of the franchise, not just what's been going on the past couple of decades. You know what I mean? So not even past couple of decades, but at least the last couple of regimes.
Yeah.
So I absolutely believe that wasn't forced. But also, man, when you think about, especially when he did that was in March, and who he was talking to. Like some of these players don't know the history, like and when you really think about it, when you have guys that play football, they might not be in football because they're playing it day to day, and the history of these franchises and stuff like that, they just know ball, and so when they get to the New York Giants, it's just maybe they don't know. When they what do they do when they first get there? They put the trophies right there, so you can see that history. You got the murals and all that stuff right there when you first walk in the building. So for the people that don't know, the players that don't know, they see that history even if they don't know it. Because again, even for me, like in high school, like I'm deep into the Giants now, but like high school, I was always a Giants fan. But when I was playing, it's not like I was looking over the entire roster and stuff like that and head to toe New York Giants. So for these guys, I'm pretty sure it's the same thing. They got enough things to worry about. But if you are joining a team, you should know the history, right?
Yeah. I thought it was good too. It seems, and you guys can tell me if I'm remembering this, incorrectly, but it seemed like he had more of the legends of the New York Giants in camp early on and more often than previous regimes have had, or at least they had more of an impact, I felt, on this here than what I remember in the past. It seems like he's really trying to your point, really build into the history. And if you have those legends around like Banks and Otis Anderson and Taylor and those guys, they just seem like they're around a little bit more than they have been in the past.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think every coach has done that initially, but to your point, it could be more because I don't remember necessarily seeing like someone like Harry Carson, for instance. I definitely saw him this particular off season, but I don't remember seeing him. So definitely, maybe there are a couple more, but certainly every coach has come and they started that way anyway.
Yep.
Yeah, see, Greg T says Harbs grew up with the '80s Giants. That's when he started pretty much his coaching career. Was in the '80s, man, back in college, but still. And I just think for somebody, he's 63 too. At the end of the day, like he's seen those Giants teams, like personally. Like for me, I was a baby when they won their first two Super Bowls. Like not a baby for the first one. I was 7-8 years old for the second one. So that's the one I remember the most. Actually remembering it myself. But yeah, for anybody that grew up in that era or was around in that era, it was a different feeling. Like the Big Blue Wrecking Crew really was that. And the history with the linebackers and its defense and the violence and stuff like that. You hear Denard Wilson talking about violence. And these guys, man, listen, I will say this. I don't think people understand what it takes to shift the franchise. And the first thing you have to do is change mentally. And if he can get these guys to buy in and believe, then the rest of it should follow suit as long as you got enough talent. My man Greg T says, yes, it was definitely genuinely surreal to him. And that's what he was trying to portray. I believe that 100%.
Yeah.
What a deal. Adela says, at least as a head coach, I should say. All right. So we're going to slide over a little bit. I got another guest coming on the show. Everybody knows Coach Gene Clemens. What's going on, Coach? How you doing?
What's up with you, big dog? I apologize. Life gets in the way, and also like what are these Giants doing? 88 spots, but 90 positions. There's something coming down the pipe in the next day or two. Like we haven't seen the end of it.
I think they might add another kicker. That's one thing they might do. Because they got some young guys in the building. But yeah, that's a good call too, man. For me, I'm sitting back here like I can't wait. I'm like a kid in the candy store when it comes to football season, man. Just the excitement levels through the roof. But since you just joined, Coach, we just talked about Harbaugh and that video clip that went around and went viral when I think it shouldn't have. The response, I felt a little bit petty because I was upset about it. So I'm gonna get your thoughts on the John Harbaugh New York Giants, like those comments. What did you think about that?
Why are people surprised that the Harbaughs are corny as hell? They've always been corny as hell. John Harbaugh's always been corny. Jim Harbaugh has always been corny. They got it from his corny ass dad. They've been corny forever. Who cares? Win some football games. That's all that really matters at the end of the day. Like people getting all like up in arms or all like trying to make fun of the fact that he's been corny. This is who he is. I appreciate genuine people. I don't like when people put on fronts or try to make themselves seem harder than what they are. Like if you're not hard, if you're corny, then be corny. But the hard should come in play into what you do and how you do it. And he stayed true to who he is all this time. If you didn't want that, then you didn't want Harbaugh. Like if you wanted somebody to come in and sound cool and do all that other stuff, if you wanted somebody to come in and be innovative, you got the wrong head coach. Like that's not what he does. Like he is an old school coach. He just looks young. Don't forget how old this dude is.
Yeah.
He looks young. But it doesn't mean that he's all of a sudden hip. Like just take the corny for what it is.
No, and that's a great way to put it too, because like I said, it's for some people it comes off as corny, but even with that, it's authentic. It's authentic to those Harbaughs. Like who has it better than us? Nobody. Like come on, we already know. We already know.
But it's genuine. That's the difference. It's like and I think when people hear me say corny, they think I'm trying to be like offensive, but I'm really not. This isn't me being offensive. I'm corny at times. Like I'm a goober at times. Some of my kids will tell me from time to time, they'll be like, "Oh man, here you go again with the like we're corny to some people, and then other people might go, oh well, that's just them." So I don't look at it as a negative, and I didn't look at that video as a negative. I looked at it as him being someone who's genuinely excited, and this is the way he gets excited, right? Like that's unfortunately it doesn't always come off the right way.
Now I like this comment from Miguel. Miguel says Dan Campbell said we gonna bite kneecaps. Yeah. And I remember myself, I was laughing. I'm like, what the hell is he talking about? Biting kneecaps.
Sound like Mike Tyson over there.
That's what they did, though. Detroit turned it right around and became one of the most physical teams in the league. So, listen, if it's corny and authentic, I'm here for it. And I like the way that you broke that down, Coach Gene. I do want a catch-up question. Are you going to any games this year? Home opener possibly for the Giants?
I have responsibilities.
Super busy.
I got things to do.
No.
And the check from the Giant side of things has not come to the level of the checks from the other things. And so I can't say whether I will be at a game. I will say that I will at some point be in actually, I'm going to be in New York a bunch, but as far as going to games, I'm not sure if I'm going to get to games because Monday comes around and those flights from New York back to Georgia are more and more expensive by the day. So, but I'm going to be plugged in for sure.
Right. I didn't fully answer that question when you asked it. I said it might not make the opener, but my plan is to go to the game, the Colts in Indiana, because that's just around Thanksgiving time, and I'm hoping that I'm in the States at Thanksgiving by my sister who lives in Kentucky. So that's a 3-hour drive away. So that's the plan to go and watch that game then.
Yeah, that's good.
I want to back up a sec. Oh, sorry, Dash. Go ahead.
No, you got to go ahead.
I was saying I want to back up for a second because we were talking about ages a lot. And Dash, when you started talking about how old you were when you saw the first and second Super Bowl, I don't want to speak for Mark, but I felt real old there for a minute because I know my age with the first and second Super Bowl, and I'm like, oh man, you just made me feel old right there.
I'm an '80s baby, man. The early '80s. I'm an '80s baby for sure.
I'm not
a spring chicken.
I'm not going to discuss the decade I was born in. So
I'm sure I'm probably the oldest in this group here. I'm sure. But
we're probably close, Mark. You and I are probably close, real close.
I'll say that.
Hey, listen, I ain't afraid of it. I am a happy 46 years old, 1980, March 6, 1980. I'm proud of it. I'm 46. I don't look 46. And when the haircut is fresh, I look even younger. So like I'm good. I ain't even out here trying to, you know what I'm saying, trying to stunt. I want the ladies to know that if you still got a 2 in front of your name, you can smile and kiki with me, but don't come try to flirt. I got nothing for you. I'm a grown ASS man. I don't got no time for none of this young business.
My man Dealer says 84 for me. Said he said 79. Look at him.
In that 86 Super Bowl, I was 12 years old. So
okay.
Ooh, 86. Well, you don't want to know you on it. 86, I was 24 years old.
Okay, so you got me by a little bit.
And look at him. And look at him.
You know, I wouldn't have guessed that. I would not have guessed that, my man.
Yeah.
Looking good.
Look at now everybody want to put their information.
We started a trend here.
Hey, Dash, all it takes is one. All it takes is one person to break the, you know what I'm saying, to break it, and then everybody feels comfortable talking about it again.
That's right.
They still going. Still going.
I think what's his name just said I look like, who was that? Greg Turd said I look like LeVar Arrington.
Yeah,
that is not the first time. When I was in my prime, I used to get LeVar Arrington all the time, which is weird because I played receiver and tight end, so I wasn't LeVar Arrington, wide. But
look, everybody proud of their age. I see everybody.
Right? Let's go 80s. Let's go 80s. Make sure you put that bread in super chats too. By the way,
91. Look, Chris in here, baby, like with the 91.
91 is still crazy to me, by the way.
Right. So I do want to start talking about what we came to talk about, training camp. So I'm gonna go around. Biggest storyline going into training camp. I'm gonna start with my man Mark. What's the biggest storyline going into training camp for you?
There are quite a few.
I know. That's why we got panels, so we can get to.
Oh my goodness!
Just give me one.
Well, okay, I'll give you one. I am interested to see what's going to happen with these inside linebackers.
Oof. Okay.
And what I mean by that, and I haven't really heard anybody really talk about this, but okay, we've got these 2 6'4", 6'5" guys who have some speed. Obviously, Reese is faster than Edmonds, but maybe, and everybody's talking about nickel defense and all that kind of thing, and getting Tibbs and Burns and Abdul on the field together. What about Reese playing a big nickel? Like, would he play that sometimes? I mean, is that something that he might do? So to allow all those guys to be on the field at the same time, and maybe you're not necessarily talking about Washington or Phillips on the field at that particular point in time. Maybe even to allow Matt Fadden to be on. I don't know. And Reese to do a little bit of so just interesting. And maybe you're only playing 2 D lines. So I'm just kind of interested to see that kind of configuration. Like how does that? Because I feel like that's the strength in there, and I feel like we might be, we play off of that as opposed to play off the back end or the front end. I think that middle area is the key right there.
I tell you, that's left field for me. Reese as the big nickel in the package.
Sometimes.
I'm obvious. Yeah, I know that. I'm just saying that didn't even cross my mind as something. I'm gonna get that one to coach, big nickel Reese.
So like the problem is that Reese isn't the greatest in coverage. He's athletic, but his athleticism is going forward. It's not dropping back. So if he was the big nickel, he would essentially just be an outside linebacker in like a 43 defense, right? Like that's what he would essentially be, or a 4-4 a 4-4 defense if you're looking at the amalgamations of how they use the defensive line, right?
Right.
I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that you see him on the field detached from the box. I think there's an opportunity you see him playing in a position that you would normally have a weak side linebacker / nickel playing in. I just don't think it'll be in the traditional sense of a coverage type of thing. I think there's a better chance that you would see like Tyler Nubin playing down there because he's not good at the third level. We don't have to even we don't have to keep cherry, you know what I'm saying, putting roses over. He's not that good there. But if you bring him down as a bigger dude, that's where he made all of his plays in college, was at the second level. So I don't know if we'll see Reese out there a lot as the quote unquote big nickel. But if you do, you can pretty much bet that it's probably so that they can have a more stout run defense, not necessarily pass coverage.
And I do want to say this. I do see the super chats in there. Shout out to my man Chris. I will get to the super chat. I am starring some questions. So if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. I will star those, and we will definitely try to get to as many as possible. But Chris, I will get to your super chat in just a moment. I don't want to. I try to keep things organized in the beginning before it goes off of the rails. But I do like organic conversations as well. And I just felt like that was a good question for Coach. So biggest storyline, Sean, going into training camp. What's the big storyline for you?
So, I'm not going to pick the obvious one. I'm going to go with something that I think is a little maybe off of left field too, but one that I'm very curious about. I want to know who that last lineman's going to be, and it's actually going to come from that guard position, I believe. So who's going to be that last lineman pick between Falele, Ezeudu, and Evan Neal? Who's going to be that of those three? Who's going to make it? Because I believe one of those three will be that last lineman that make it there. So I'm very curious, and I'm also curious to see where they're going to play those guys. Are they going to keep them at right guard? Is one going to move to left guard? What are they going to do with those guys? So to me, I could go on with the obvious one, right? But I'm going to bypass that obvious one because I think that's a really good battle that's going on there to see which one of those three will make that final roster, the final line spot, in my opinion.
Quick question for you. You got the Giants 9 or 10 offensive linemen?
10. I think I had them at
10. Okay.
Yeah.
Who's your 9?
So
we know the 5, right? We know
the 5, okay, and then you got was it Stinney, Patrick, Bo, Marcus Bo, right? So there's 8, and then there's another who's the guy
draft pick?
Yeah, the
Jason
draft.
Davis is another one.
Yeah, Davis, and then one of those other three is the 10. Yeah, I believe.
Ooh. Yeah, that's a tough one because, like you said, if you look at it, you got your stars, you got AT, you got Runyon, you got JMS, you got Maui Noah, and you got Illuminor. Yeah. Marcus Bo, absolutely. Actually, let me go ahead and do this because let me help us out. Let me try to help us out a little bit. Let me see if I can get this on. So there we go. We got the depth chart right here. Let me move this comment so we can.
Hey, and shout out to them, by the way. They always do a good job of putting up a depth chart. I don't always agree where they have people placed at, but
yeah,
they always do a really good job of putting up a depth chart, and I always appreciate it. So shout out to all lads for that.
Yeah. So we see it right here. We got it here. We got Andrew Thomas, Runyon Schmitz, Maui Noah, Illuminor, and then after that, you said 10, Sean. 10.
Yeah, I said 10. So and it's interesting because they have Ezeudu at tackle, but I don't see him competing there. I think because I know they utilize him in OTAs as a guard, which I think is his best position. So I think it's a disservice to him to keep him at tackle and have him compete for a spot at tackle there. Which, if I can piggyback off that biggest storyline, when I know I talked about the lineman there, but to me, it's going to be the competition throughout camp. There's a lot of competition. You talked about at the beginning about how many players are on the roster. There's a lot of this is the most competition that I can remember of a Giants roster in a very, very long time. So if you tie the linemen that I talked about in there with the overall the competition that's there at a lot of positions, I think that's a big storyline going into camp.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting what they do with that with the offensive line. I agree it's a great storyline. I think that there could be even some deeper, more nefarious thought process in mind, which is like, how do we upgrade? Is there an upgrade in the run game from Runyon Jr.? Like,
talk about it. If
you look at what they're building, like, they've kind of committed themselves to Jermaine Illuminor, and I'm not gonna say like bad stuff about Illuminor because he's already blocked me. But like, he's not the greatest run blocker. But True. Maui Noah is a head and shoulders upgrade from, what's been over there over the past 3 years at right guard. And the question becomes, like, if they're really going all in on run, like being a run dominant football team, there are options that they can plug in over there at left guard that are going to make them a much more formidable running team that won't hurt them as much because he's playing guard in the passing in pass pro, and that's putting Evan Neal at left guard.
I was waiting.
I agree. Waiting. That's his natural side, the left side. I agree with you,
It's his natural position, right? It's the position he probably should have played all along. I've been saying it ever since he was a rookie. Hey, if you just put him right next to Andrew Thomas, like, you don't have to worry about that left side for the next 10, 15 years. And, obviously it's happened the way it's happened, but him as a guard, he's going to beat out Ezeudu. He's going to beat out Falele because Falele plays too high. And he's played primarily on the right side. You already have Aaron Stinney to play over there. I think the natural thing is, hey, who's going to back up left guard? It's probably going to be Evan Neal. And if he backs up left guard and looks really good, or if, Runyon gets banged up and has to come out and he goes in, he might not give that job back.
So yeah. I'm gonna be honest here, like transparency. I know how it's two players that I specifically want to ask Coach Gene about. Evan Neal is one of them, and the other one is Tay Banks, who we're gonna talk about a little bit later. But I knew it as soon as you started going. I knew exactly where you was headed. Now I'll say this: when it comes to that left guard spot, I agree with you when it comes to Runyon. I think the only thing that's keeping Runyon in front of people is the paycheck, is how much money he's making. But that can also be something that can get him shipped out of here. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm looking at, and to your point, does Evan Neal have a chance? I do believe that he has a chance, but how does that thing fit? Because Marcus Bowe right now, a lot of people said let's move him inside. I don't think the Giants have even looked at him on the inside yet.
Yeah, why?
He's a swing tackle.
Yeah. But also, Harbaugh likes a specific type for his interior alignment. And that you see Falele. That's one of the reasons why Falele is here. I found it very interesting that right before we drafted Maui Noah, we saw Falele on that right side in whatever those voluntary minicamp. And then as soon as we draft Maui Noah, we saw Falele now start to get reps on the left side. And it makes a lot of sense to me. So I'm jumping around my subjects, and in the conversation of a camp battle, a secret camp battle that I believe is happening is that left guard spot and the depth behind it. So I'm gonna ask you guys: is there any way that any of these guys really? And I see Coach already said that if Runyon goes down for any point of time, and one of these guys get a chance to play and possibly outplay him, he might be going. But let me know, Sean and Mark, that left guard spot. I'm going to get you guys' opinion too. Two questions. First, do you think that Evan Neal has a chance of making this 53? And then also, what do you think about that left guard spot too? Is there a secret camp battle possibly going on?
Yeah, so I do think that Evan Neal has a shot because I think Harbaugh is high in him because they scouted him when he was with the Ravens. They thought about drafting him. I think to your point, like you said, he is that Harbaugh size that he looks for there. I will piggyback on something else though. Like I'm less low on Runyon than you guys are, and my counterpoint to that is that Harbaugh's statement when he took over, he liked that O-line, and his father commented on the O-line last year, right? But the other counterpoint to that is that we have Patrick Ricard, who is going to help. He's another old lineman in that backfield that is going to help any weaknesses on either side, whether it's left guard, right guard, whatever it is. So I think that's, and not directed at anybody in the panel here, but as fans, people have to remember that we have Patrick Ricard in this roster. He is a 6th lineman in essence, and he's going to do what needs to be done. And him alone is going to help increase, our run production on this team and also help out that O-line. So just something to think about when we're talking about guys that may be weaker on the O-line is that Ricard's going to fill that gap.
Look, I think that both Faalele and Neal right now are not better than Runyan.
Okay.
At least in my opinion, what I've seen. And not only that, I think Runyan has been part of an improved O-line from last year. With Smith next to him, with Thomas next to him, I think that counts for something because we're not just talking about necessarily just the best players, but we're talking about the best O-line, right? So I know that Runyan may not be the body type or the size that Harbaugh wants, but I think that he's working within the system that's there. Well, we don't know exactly what the new system is because we got a new O-line coach, but the point is, at least they're all coming off a relatively good performance and he was part of that. I do think Neal has a chance to make the team. I absolutely do. I did make that comment on Rush that I think it's between the same thing that Sean said, that between Faalele, Neal, and Ezeudu. I think Ezeudu is a little bit off. He's playing tackle from everything that I'm seeing here, not really playing guard. So to me, his chances are lower. But I do think that Neal is very possible. I mean, there are some things there of Neal that, once he can deal with his balance issues and so forth, and that's probably better done from the guard position, I think that he has an opportunity. But I mean, Stinnie is a veteran. He started for a Super Bowl winning team. He's been here around for a couple of years now. So, there's value in that. So I think the question is whether you're going to swap out that experience for someone you think you might be able to have some more upside. So there's a battle there. I agree that there is a battle.
Yeah. I'll say this one thing about Evan Neal. The thing that sucks about the whole Evan Neal situation is when they finally made the decision to move him inside last year, when they finally made the decision, he got hurt. And we didn't get a chance to see him actually do it, play the position in preseason, and then we went a whole. Go ahead.
Whoa.
A little
bit.
You
think he was hurt?
He didn't play.
I don't think he was ever hurt. I think all of those are lies.
Let's get there.
I think he was a healthy scratch every game until the end of the season. I don't think he was hurt at all.
No, I mean in preseason. When as far as being able to get those reps in preseason, we didn't even see those reps in preseason.
No, I personally, and this is just I've never seen a team flub a top 10 offensive line prospect the way the New York Giants have flubbed Evan Neal. Like I've never seen an offensive lineman get hurt his first 2 years in the league, and then all of a sudden never get another legitimate chance to actually play. Like I've never seen that before. Like not that high of a draft pick. They came off of him so fast that I don't know. I still can't fathom it. So I'm looking at Evan Neal in this situation as he went to a new team. So like all of these people who are out here thinking about the Evan Neal that you saw or you didn't see over the last 2 years because he wasn't out there, or that you saw, like, get that guy out of your brain. This is you inheriting a Daniel Faalele, but I don't particularly think Faalele is good, so I'm not like all in on Faalele. He just, like, if you think Evan Neal is bad, like, then I don't know how people can think Faalele is good. Right?
Say
like,
the way you say he's not.
Neal is bad.
Yeah, he's not.
Like,
no, he's not good. He's not good.
Yeah, you look at the lowlights of Faalele, and you can even look at Lamar Jackson. Just the hesitancy when that guy's out there is crazy.
Look at the highlights. Look at his best. That's what I did. I went and looked at
even the highlights.
Best reps. And the best reps, he's high in his stance. Yeah. He's slow off the ball. He doesn't look sure of himself. He's not moving bodies for him to be so big. He's not just collapsing things out of nowhere. Like, I think that Evan Neal, the one thing we can say, we can talk about him balance issues, and we can talk about him like on the times where he gets beat by guys who everybody gets beat by. We see him get his hands on people. Those people go the opposite way.
100%.
Like
Yes.
that's the one thing we can say. Where is that most valuable at? Guard.
Yeah.
What are they going to run
that
for the
fumble.
Giants? They're going to run power. They're going to run lead. They're going to run ISO. They're going to run kick. Right? They're going to, like we're talking about Patrick Ricard. Patrick Ricard is going to be coming across the formation, kicking out defensive ends. He's going to be going through, laying out outside linebackers. He might do a wham block on a offensive tackle. Like that's how they're going to utilize him. But like he's still a fullback in a league predicated on like multi-tight end sets and 3 wide receiver sets. So it's not like he's going to be out there 90% of the game. Like you're going to want body movers to be out there. And the one thing we know about Evan Neal is a body mover. He without us ever actually seeing what Maui Noah looks like at the NFL level as of today, he's the second best body mover on the offensive line. It's Andrew Thomas, and then it's Evan Neal, and then it's everybody else. Like now he has flaws, but we haven't seen him really in 2 years, so we don't know what he is. That's what I'm so excited about. That's why, you know, if that's a big storyline that people are looking forward to, hey, sign me up. I'm looking forward to it too. I want to be right or I want to be wrong.
Yeah.
Now,
So there's a couple.
Go ahead.
No, I was, there's a couple things that it's nice to be around other people who do think positively of Evan Neal, because I'm a big Evan Neal supporter without a doubt. And I did see the problem for me is that you see, like, I can see progress with what he's done when they move them around. You can see the issue is that fans just focus on because his bad plays are really bad, like really bad. And so people focus on that. The other thing that I'd like that he's done is, as Coach just mentioned, like it's a fresh start. So everybody's got a fresh start here. So he went out and he's working with LaCharles Bentley. Like to me, that shows that he's trying to get better. He wants to do things. He's working with one of the best guys out there to improve his game. He understands it as a fresh start. Now, will that produce anything? Will the results? We don't know. But I think when they moved in the guard, I did see progress. I did see some very good things from him. And I agree with Coach what he said earlier. I think if you move him to the left side where it's natural, where he excelled, that's the best thing. Because Daboll and that staff, they just flubbed everything up. And what's his name? The previous O-line coach, who I absolutely just intentionally forgot his last name because I thought he was awful. I've never seen a coach mess up, like you said, Coach. Like Brasillo got him better and in a better position, but what's his name just messed him up those first 2 years. I've never seen anything like it. Like everybody, 32 teams had him ranked as the number one lineman in that draft, and we couldn't develop him. Like that doesn't make any sense to me in the first 2 years.
Yeah, I'm an Alabama fan, so when we drafted Evan Neal, I was like, and then it was Tibbs and it was Evan Neal. Like 5 and 7, I'm sitting here like, yes. One thing Evan Neal made me think about it, like when it comes to Alabama is bully ball. They get they 5 biggest offensive linemen, and my running joke is this: the Alabama offensive line is 4 guards in the center. That's what I think the Alabama O line is. Well, when under Nick Saban is 4 guards in the center, and you see it in the league. A lot of these tackles, they get here and they end up getting kicked inside. Yeah. And like I said, unfortunately, we haven't got a chance to see him, play inside yet. But they said it's a clean slate for a lot of these players. If it's truly a clean slate, and we know that Harbaugh likes to play, players in preseason a lot more than what Daboll did. So these guys will be battling for spots, and I can't wait for that. I do want to shift the conversation just a little bit. I'm going to talk about a storyline as well. I'm not going to choose my own personal storyline. I'm going to choose what media, is talking about, and that's Malik Nabers. We got the news that Malik Nabers is not going to be on the PUP to start the training camp. Me myself, I don't know what that actually means, because I don't expect him to be on the field, but he is going to be able to actually allowed to be on the field because he's not on the PUP. But we'll see what that actually means. So I'll go around you guys. The news about Nabers just dropped, him not being on the PUP. Does that surprise any of you guys? I'll start with Coach.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't surprise me because a lot of people are out here faking like they have sources and they don't. That's the truth. Is a lot of people out here lying because there's no way for us to check their work other than to expose somebody that probably doesn't want to be exposed, right? So we don't know what's going on with these guys for a reason. It also doesn't mean he won't end up sitting out. Just because he won't start on the PUP doesn't mean that he won't eventually go there. I think that everybody should just use the mantra that I use when it comes to these things.
Yeah, my man Soul Glow says, like I said, from April week 5 at this point. That's why I've been preaching that for a while now. I'm saying I don't expect him to week 5. If we get him earlier than that, fantastic.
If you get 13 healthy weeks of Malik Neighbors, are you going, oh my God, I can't believe we only got 13 healthy weeks? No. And that's my point. There's no reason to rush him back. They were out there with who playing wide receiver last year? Mm-hmm. Like, it's not like the guys that they brought in, they are better than the receiving core that they had out there. They had Bo Collins out there trying to really be a legitimate X receiver for the Giants last year. He was out there trying to be a real dude because that's how hurt they were. So like they've definitely upgraded as far as the receivers that they have in this room. They can get by for 4 games, especially because they're going to lean into the run. And my storyline we'll talk about here in a second when I get to it. I think it's going to be a big game changer. But like they don't need him to come back and all of a sudden get targeted like 10 to 12 times a game in these first 4 games. Let him get fully healthy because you're playing a long game with him.
All right, Mark, how do you feel about it? The neighbors news.
I'm pleasantly surprised. I can't say that I wasn't surprised, but I'm pleasantly surprised. It's not because I'm listening to pundits say, "Oh, he's going to come back." I just looking at the injury that he had and looking at his progress. What you saw is his progress, and I'm saying, well, you know what? If he comes back week 4, week 5, I'm good with that. But the fact that he didn't start on PUP, that's good. So I'd rather be surprised in a good way than not be. Like I kind of wrote it off and said, yeah, you probably won't get him for like a few weeks, and maybe that might still happen. But the fact that he did not start on PUP gives you a lot of hope and a lot of pause. But also, as coach said, look, last year this set of wide receivers we have competing for positions much better than what we had last year. So it doesn't even bother me. And then we had an upgrade at the tight end position. So I just don't see any of that has bothered me. I think this is all good.
All right, Sean, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, not at all. I mean, we got to remember he just turned 22, so we know as youngins the healing power is a lot better, right? And he, I paid more attention to the videos of him, shooting the basketball around and other things he was doing rather than that softball game video where people are like, oh my God, I think he's ahead of schedule. I think he's a good spot. I'm not saying he's going to be there week 1, but it would not surprise me if he did play week 1. Again, I want to be very clear. I'm not predicting he will be there week 1. I'm just saying it would not surprise me because I think he is healing pretty well. And I know reports go out there about, the second surgery, but I just watched what he's been doing, and to me, he looks pretty good. But I think they'll be very smart with him. They understand how important it is. And to Mark's point, we got weapons now that we didn't have last year, and we're going to be more of a run dominant team. I think there's no reason to rush him back, and I don't think Harbaugh will.
I don't think so either. So, Coach, you said you got the storyline. What's your biggest storyline going into training camp?
Everybody talks about like these draft picks, and that's great, and defense is cool, but I'm here to tell you guys right now, they have an absolute monster at tight end, and everybody's going to find out immediately just how good this dude is because he's been sitting behind a guy. He's been better than the entire time, but that guy had stats and a name to back him up. If you go and you look up Isaiah Likely and go and watch him in college.
Oh yeah.
Then go and look up Isaiah Likely's highlights with the Ravens and see the type of plays that he's making. He is Wan'Dale Robinson in a 6'5", 250-pound package. Like, I don't know any other way of saying it. If they utilize him exactly the way that they utilize Wan'Dale Robinson, I promise you, he is going to be one of the top 5 tight ends in the league this year, bar none. He will be the greatest thing that happened to Jackson Dart if he stays healthy. Because, you know, it's New York. We gotta preface these things.
Yeah, right. I put up the super chat from Chris. He says, "Who are all your surprise players this season?" I felt like it might have been fitting to put that there because my man Gene made a strong statement. I can't even say that's a strong statement because I agree with you. No, it's not anything that's surprising at all. And to your point, he did sit behind Mark Andrews, but he flashed as much as he could. And when he got signed this year, and like I said, we signed him off the potential, not of necessarily of what he did, because when you look at the stats, he only had 300 yards last year, but you kind of see this untapped potential there. And I'm not going to talk about like Lamar Jackson in the passing game and how, you know, the Ravens had a pretty strong running game too. But I think with what the New York Giants need, and to your point, he to us, he's the big slot receiver. All those targets that Wan'Dale Robinson got, like Coach was saying, now you have somebody who's 6'4", you know, in that same area of the field that Wan'Dale Robinson was able to make some noise at. But I'll keep this question up and I'll go back around the panel. Surprise players for you guys this season. So Sean, surprise player.
I'm gonna give 2. I think Darnell Mooney is going to be a surprise player. I think he's being slept on. He did really well. He had put up stats under Matt Nagy in Chicago. So I think that's going to be a big one there. And then my other one is going to be Malachi Fields. It would not surprise me if he is starting at some point this season on that outside. I think he's exactly what Harbaugh's looking for with the size. He's a great red zone target, and he's a hell of a run blocker, in my opinion. So I think that fits into what they're trying to do. So it would not surprise me if he starts at some point this season. And I would not be surprised if he gets reps early on as well. But those are the 2 guys that I'm going to go with for surprises.
Okay, cool. Mark, what you got?
Right. I think Calvin Austin.
You stole mine. You stole him.
I mean, when you follow the team so closely and so forth, there are probably not too many surprises. But I do think Calvin Austin could be a surprise player. Now, I understand I agree with a lot of what Gene said in terms of the play of Likely, but I do think there are times when Austin may very well, you know, pick up the slack in the slot and do some other things as well. And also, for all we know, he could be our returner. We don't know, possibly, and that's a very possible thing. And seeing that Sean picked 2, I'm going to pick a second one.
Well, the question did say players, so that is multiple, right? So I didn't break a rule. I'm the Joker, so I guess I can break a rule.
I heard what you said. Go ahead and say it again so people.
Jack Kelly. I'll go on the defensive side.
Nice.
I think there will be some. I know he's going to be special teams, but I feel over time during the season that he's going to work himself in there, and there may be some packages that he will come in. I mean, especially our inside linebacker thing is kind of stacked, right? But I mean, I think he will come in there and have some role for him, and I see him as a sort of a surprise player, in my opinion. Yeah.
And real quick, fellas, because I heard y'all all say, you know, Mooney and you know, Calvin Austin and these guys, like last year the Giants kept 6 receivers, right?
Yes.
So if you just go off math and you're saying Neighbors, Malachi Fields, Neighbors, Malachi Fields, Slayton, Mooney, because Mooney out of all of those guys has the most on this contract, right?
Yeah. Austin.
That only leaves 2 people. That only leaves 2 guys.
Yep.
You got OBJ, you got Austin, You got Braxton Berrios. You got what's his name?
Smith.
Juju, yeah. Sweetness. You got Juju Smith-Schuster out there.
You got Cambry.
Like that's a lot of people for 2 spots, essentially.
Yep.
And keep it in mind, we could say it might be 7, but Patrick Ricard is taking up a roster spot that's never had to be taken up before. So somebody's losing somewhere, right?
Yep.
Who's your guys? Who's the odd man out in that case? Are we saying OBJ is not making this team?
And that's a good one, because that's one of the questions here too. Do you all think Odell will make the team? Now, I fall into the category of yes, and my I do have 6 wide receivers. I do think they, as far as Pat Ricard, where he fits in, you're either going to put him in the running back room or you're going to put him in the tight end room, is where I think they're going to. As far as
he said he's in the tight end room, right?
He said he practices with the tight ends, is what I read. But for me, I got Malik. Everybody's healthy. I got Neighbors, Slayton, Mooney, Fields, Austin, Odell Beckham. That's my 6. So no Juju, no Braxton Berrios, no Bo Collins, no Dalen Cambry. Even though I saw it was Sports Illustrated that put out the article, and they had Dalen Cambry as the 6th wide receiver.
Yes, I now had him as, and I'm like, I don't see that.
No way.
Yeah,
no Hodgins either, right? No Hodgins either.
No Hodgins, and I'm a fan of Hodgins too. I like Hodgins for what he can bring, as far as I like anybody that takes advantage of the opportunities. Like, obviously, he came here in 2022. He made his mark. After a while, we shipped him over. He couldn't stay on the team. I think we got him for Pittsburgh was his last stop before, and he couldn't even make like the real 53 there. But I think it's a little bit of nostalgia when it comes to Hodgins, but I am still a fan of Hodgins. But that's my 6. I do believe what Harbaugh said, because he said outside of Neighbors, what did he say? 4 or 5 receivers outside of Neighbors. So that lets you know it's either going to be 5 or 6. I don't think he's going to push to 7, but that's my 6. Coach, I know you went down the line, but what's your list of 6 if he's keeping 6?
Oh, it's simple for me. It's Neighbors, Slayton, Mooney, Fields, and then it's Braxton Berrios, because who is going to return punts? None of those other guys have ever returned punts. None of the DBs have.
Except
Austin, right?
Austin's not really a punt returner though. He's more of a kick returner than he is a punt returner. That's a different animal. It's a different animal. I'm going to go with somebody I think can be reliable as a punt returner, and right now that's Braxton Berrios. Unless something changes,
so that's 5
during training camp. Braxton Berrios, and then OBJ, because if he's healthy, and we're assuming everybody's healthy, if he's healthy, he still has the most talent of all of those guys that are left, right? And I like all those other guys too. I like Hodgins, but I think Malachi Fields killed Hodgins' chances of making this team. I don't see them keeping 2 of those guys, because Hodgins isn't that great of a special teamer where he's going to push the needle on special teams like that.
But aren't you okay? Yeah, I mean, look, romantically, OBJ, right? So, and I see him as the last and I understand the Braxton Berrios argument, and I think he's underrated, but he can probably get onto the practice squad. I suspect. That's just my feel about it. But what about Juju? Because Juju has familiarity with Nagy. So don't you think that might play something? I mean, that might have some sort of role here. And so I don't know, but I'm looking at what position would he play and how the receiver room is made up. And when I start looking at it, I'm like, well, OBJ is the most versatile of them all, so he can play any position, right? So I think at least that's.
He's also probably the most brittle of them all as well, too. So
the most what you said?
Brittle.
Oh yes, This is true. So I don't know. So in the back of my mind, I'm thinking Juju and that relationship. You never know. So that's just bring that up. What it's worth.
I kind of see Juju as Likely's backup if he does make the roster in that slot, and I think he could be very
Big
good
slot.
there.
Yeah,
he doesn't need to be extremely fast. He's a good route runner. I think that's what it's going to come down to me and my guy. So I think it's gonna, if I did my math right, I think it's gonna come down to Austin or Juju as that sixth receiver, because I do believe OBJ is gonna make the roster. I know he was in shorts and not in full pads and all that, and he does have to stay healthy. But when you watch him, two things that stood out to me. Well, three things I should say. He's a lot skinnier he's been in the last several years, and I do think that's intentional for him to try to stay healthy, having less muscle, less chance of getting injuries that he had in the past. He is still a phenomenal route runner. He's the best route runner on the team outside of maybe Malik, and it's probably really close in my opinion there. And he still has great hands. When it comes down to it and you need him to catch the ball, he's going to catch the ball in my opinion. So like those three things there is what is going to help him make that team. I like the idea of, Berrios, you could probably get him on the practice squad or something like that. So to me, I do think it's going to come down to Austin and Juju for that sixth spot.
Who's your returner if Berrios doesn't make who's your punt returner if Berrios?
Well, if you put him on the practice squad, you can call him, elevate him like 3 times, right? And then that gives you time to try to put somebody out. So I think Austin, I think he could do it. I know he doesn't have a lot of experience, but I think he could do it. Again, I think what would have been interesting, to be honest with you, is what would have happened if Gunner stayed on the team, because then you have now even more, opportunities for guys that aren't going to make the team. But that's my opinion. Again, they may do something
Gunner's
different.
There, I don't think they ever signed Berrios though.
Right,
Berrios got signed after Gunner was already in.
Right.
So right. I think a lot of those late spring, early summer signings were a reaction to.
Agreed. I think they wanted the competition though with Berrios to whoever they're going to put there as well. I don't know that Berrios has much left. Yes, is he reliable? Yeah, but I don't think he's going to get you much in the return game, in my opinion. He hasn't really put up the numbers. So I think, to me, again, it's my opinion, I think Harbaugh really wants competition, so he signed Berrios to make sure that somebody else had competition for that spot there. That's my opinion.
And I don't want to crap on Austin. I was just looking at his stats. He did have 12 punt returns I'm sorry, not 12. He did have 15 punt returns last year. So like he's still getting returns. I don't want to. I'm not crapping on him. I just know that Braxton Berrios was an all-pro punt returner, right? Like he was an all-pro returner. So years ago, obviously, and I think that Austin does bring more to the table from the offensive standpoint than Berrios does. I'm just concerned because if I'm just thinking from a coach's perspective, you want a sure-handed, like I'm locked in with him as a returner kind of guy. And I don't know, we'll see if they feel that way about if they feel that way about Calvin Austin going into when we see what they're doing during training camp.
So did Singletary take some punts last year?
I know he was on kick return. I saw
punt
kick
returns.
return. Yeah, him and Tracy. We saw Tracy back there a couple times too. Yeah. I mean, listen. I'm pretty sure they could find somebody to do it, but I'm glad that the coach was able to look up those snaps and saw that he did have some punt returns as well.
Yeah, no, he's got returns.
Yeah,
for sure.
So like I said, we talked about receivers and the depth of the room. And so I do want to shift the conversation. Again, we don't know where Neighbors is going to be and when he's going to start and when he's going to actually, be the Neighbors of old. That's a whole other thing. Like he can be physically cleared, but mentally, is he going to be thinking about that knee and when does he become comfortable? But I want to make this shift, man. With all of these additions to the wide receiver room and the tight end room, I want to shift the conversation to Jackson Dart and the development of Jackson Dart. We already saw reports and him actually making comments that he's doing things that he wasn't doing before as far as the offense and playing even more under center and then play action and stuff like that. The development of Jackson Dart with these new tools, these new weapons. Where do you see this, and what areas in Jackson Dart's game do you expect to be affected the most by first this coaching staff and also having these type of weapons? I'll go to you first, Sean.
Yeah, so I think I'll say a couple of things. The coaching staff that he's going to have, I think, is huge. And like my man Chris said on Rush, and we both agreed on this, is Brian Callahan is a addition to this coaching staff that is not getting talked about enough. With the quarterbacks that he's worked with, I think he's going to be huge for Jackson Dart's development. And the biggest thing for me that was said, and even Nagy is going to have a huge influence there in his development. But what I think where Dart is going to excel is, in Harv's mind, he sees him as Lamar Jackson, and he said as much. And I think he's going to utilize his running ability, and I think that's going to be a weapon there. So when you have Nagy and Callahan working on his dropbacks under center, the play action, that's going to be huge there. But he's going to be used similarly to what Lamar Jackson was used on, and I think that's where his strength is, and that's what makes him a weapon. And so I think the development is going to be there, and the fact that they're adding on to his playbook, what his responsibility, what he needs to know, I think that's very good. So to me, the coaching staff is huge for his development, and I love what they've done with this coaching staff to help him out.
Yeah, and I was actually watching, I think it was Locked On Giants, and Patty Traynor had Mark Collins on there. And when they mentioned, Jackson Dart using his legs, he didn't want anything of it. He was like, I don't want it.
Old school.
And I'm just sitting here like, man, that's just why Jackson Dart is who he is. That ability to go off script, that ability to be able to run and stuff like that. That's something that I think you need to take advantage of. And when you think about the comparison to Lamar Jackson, one thing about Lamar Jackson being as athletic, because listen, Dart is a good runner. Lamar Jackson is tears. Mm-hmm. But one thing about Lamar Jackson, he knows how to get out of bounds. He knows how to, for some reason, now we've seen him have issues with fumbles before, but as far as taking big hits, you don't see Lamar Jackson take too many big hits because he knows how to get out of bounds and slide and stuff like that. And that's one thing I think for Jackson Dart. I don't want him to change his game. Obviously, right. I want him to develop and stuff like that, and we have some coaches in the building to do that. But I just need him to be smart when he does decide to, pull the ball down and run. So that's where I'm at with the development. Mark, Jackson Dart's development. Well, where do you see it going in 2026?
I mean, when you look at his numbers, the TD and interception ratio, you look at the yards, you look at his third down numbers, there are a whole bunch of numbers that are pretty good for him as a rookie, quite frankly. He should have won the Rookie of the Year anyway. But the point is that it's going to be up to him being able to play under center, right? Didn't do a lot of that last year. Didn't do a ton of play action. In fact, he wasn't very good at it. Mm-hmm. So they're going to be asking him to do some things that he really didn't excel at last year. However, if you want to reach to that level of QB play, you're going to have to do this, right? And so I'm really excited, I should say, because I think he can do it. I do believe in Dart. I think Dart is a very good prospect. He's obviously and everybody talks about it, so I'm not saying anything that anybody hasn't said, which relates to his footwork, why his balls die when he's throwing the ball deep down the field, why they die a little bit, why they're not as accurate, and so forth. Once he gets that footwork in place, the sky is the limit for him, quite frankly. I mean, he certainly surpassed my own expectations last year. I didn't expect him to play like he did. I mean, I thought he was a good prospect, but I certainly did not expect him to come in and play the way he did. So his mid-range stuff is really great. He knows how to layer the ball. That's a strength of his. And obviously the off-script play is a strength as well. But the off-script is good and bad because he can make something happen, but at the same time, if he's really understand the post-stat process, he'll be able to come off quicker and move to the next read, and get things out. And the off-script becomes the last minute. So that's what a Patrick Mahomes does. No, look, I'm not saying he's Patrick Mahomes. I'm just saying that's what these top guys do, right? So that's all I have to say. So I'm really looking forward to Dart and his improved play on the center.
I do want to get to these two super chats. Shout out to Rev. Rev always supporting. Thank you for the $10 super chat. He says, got to cut out on assignment tomorrow. I enjoyed the show with Coach and the other guys, and my surprise player would be Banks. Good night, fellas. Go Big Blue. And also, Tudo was in the building. Tudo with the $9.99 super chat says, salute and respects to Big Dash, Mark T, Coach Shawnee, and all diehard Giant fans across the pond. Greeting from our entire Italian rugby squad currently in summer camp in northern Italy. Cheers, lad. Shout out to Tudo. Tudo's all over.
Paisan.
We got to go to Italy, man. We got to go to Italy and turn up with Tudo, man.
Shout out to Tudo, man. So, Mark, Jackson Dart's development, man. What are you looking forward to with the addition, with the coaching staff, and with the new weapons? What do you say about that?
Me or you? Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry. Coach. Sorry, okay. Coach.
Yeah, I think that. First, I think we have to remember he's still young, so like, we don't always have to get it right now. Play the long game, but also, I think he has to be willing to make the decision to just tuck it and go and get what you can get faster. It's the number one thing I tell my quarterbacks whenever I'm working with a quarterback. The athleticism can be a gift and a curse. And all of the times that it took you to run around and, buy time and move left and move right to throw that 12-yard pass, you could have just found a lane and took off and picked up 8 to 9 yards, got down, and let's go. Let's get another one going. It's self-preservation. There are hunters coming for you back there. Like the Giants aren't the only people who have multiple guys who can rush the passer. Like the NFC East is full of them. And so you got to be a lot more decisive, a lot quicker. Earlier in his career, that is where Lamar Jackson killed people. He would see, hey, read 1, read 2, it ain't there, boom, I'm gone. Right? Like, I'm out of there and I'm going to get what I can get, and then I'm going to be safe about it in most cases because he's a slicker runner than people give him credit for. He's more elusive, right? Yep. But in Jackson Dart's case, he's doing what Lamar Jackson is doing now more, which is trying to buy time to find people downfield. The only difference is that Lamar Jackson has always been a really good deep ball thrower. Even back to when he was with Louisville, that was always a strength of his. That is not necessarily the strength of Jackson Dart. He is really more of a intermediate thrower. Like, he'll put it on a dime with you running full speed across the field between two dudes at 14 to 18 yards, right? And so, which is, by the way, another reason why Isaiah Likely is going to really eat in this offense. But anyway, I digress. Like, lean into that. Don't be afraid to be that. You see how much money some of these quarterbacks have made by being risk averse, but also getting the ball into hands of playmakers. Let those guys do the job that they want to do anyway. And I think if he does that, I think the deep shots will become so wide open in this offense where they have to worry about the run and they have to worry about the short and intermediate passes, that the deep passes will be him throwing to a guy almost butt naked down there. And how can you miss him?
Oh, you mean like Ballinger in the Denver game?
Yeah, actually, just like that.
Or Slayton in the Saints game when he didn't make the catch. But I digress.
You got to make it.
That's not Slayton's game, though. Slayton's a better yak guy than we.
Absolutely is. They don't utilize him the right way, in my opinion. Yeah. I actually want to put something out at a point for everybody else to kind of address here. So when I think of what Dart did in Daboll's offense, which I think we all know is a very complicated offense because they run option routes, and he may not be on the same page with the wide receivers because they may be seeing something in the defense. So I think he's going to play faster this year with his reads because they're not running these option routes. So I'm curious. Yes, he's going to have more on his plate as far as remembering and play calls and audibles and all that. But I'm curious to see if he does play faster now because he's not wondering what that receiver is going to do. He can make more anticipatory throws than he could there. And I think that'll also help the receivers be better as well, in my opinion. So I'm curious to see what you guys think about that.
Go ahead, Mark.
No, you go ahead.
No, I definitely think that Nagy style of offense, and if it's West Coast, but it's going to be a lot with timing. But one thing about with me with Jackson Dart is if you were to ask me, who is going to be his top target receiver. Now, obviously, some people would just say Neighbors because Neighbors is wide receiver 1. Yep. To me, it's whoever's the closest and whoever gets open the fastest. And I think Coach Gene, surprise player Isaiah Likely playing in that slot position is probably going to get a lot of those targets. But getting back to just the style of offense, I'm looking forward to it. And but it all hinges on being able to run the ball at the end of the day. And I think what Harbaugh wants to do is, build the passing game off of the run. That way we can get into those play actions, because who's believing in play action if you're not successful running the ball? So I think a lot of that's going to play into each other. And as far as development for Dart, I think it's baby steps. And I think when it comes to Nagy, and we know he's all about the details, especially when it comes to the wide receivers and the routes and stuff like that. The more these guys play together, I think the better Dart is going to be in general. So when it comes to Malik Nabers and when he's going to be ready, again, don't rush him back, because there are some receivers, there are some weapons in his room, no matter what people might say on the outside looking in. But yeah, it's all about in Dart. I'll say, just getting back to Dart just a little bit. Dart knows what his weaknesses are. I saw some people talking about he needs to work on his deep ball and stuff in the chat. I think mechanics has a lot to do with that too. That deep ball for sure. But
I mean, he threw a nice deep ball off the boat. I will say that was a hell of a pass off the boat. And we need to offer that guy on the jet ski a tryout, because that was a hell of a catch. He had great hand placement. He tucked it in before he hit the water. Give that guy a tryout. Invite him to camp.
Did he
landing on water?
Now Jackson Dart has been catching well, and we ain't talking about football, my friend. Salute to him. But like, I think it's interesting though, right? Because this is going to help Dart a lot. I hope they just say, "Hey, Malachi Fields, go watch how Rashee Rice plays."
Oof.
And just recreate the Rashee Rice package over here with the Giants. The quick now ball out to him and just let him beat, like, because Rashee Rice isn't like a small dude, but he's not Malachi Fields. Like, he's not 6'4", 220, right? I've watched Malachi Fields run people over in college. There's no reason why he can't run these little DBs over in the NFL as well. If there's one place where dudes are like legit soft in the NFL, it's at cornerback. Like, these dudes ain't out here trying to tackle people like that. They're making business decisions. I think if you give him that package and let him do what Rashee Rice is doing, you can get work out of him early, which is going to be easy completions for Dart, which is going to get his confidence up, and then everything starts rolling from there.
Yeah.
Go
ahead, Mark.
You go ahead, Sean.
I was just going to go add on to that Fields. I think a lot of people talk about Fields because of he wasn't a huge producer at Notre Dame, but they were a run-first team, much like the Giants are going to be. But if you want to do yourself a favor, Giants fans, go check out his UVA tape. Because you'll see what he is capable of doing. Don't judge him based on what he did at Notre Dame. That's a completely different style offense. But it is going to help him coming from Notre Dame to here, because Harbaugh wants that similar style offense. It's going to be around the running game, which I think we'll see a lot of 12, 22, and 13 personnel going on here. But again, watch the UVA tape, because you'll see some things he did there at UVA that I think people aren't aware of.
Yeah, that game speed is different.
12, 13, 21, 22. I mean, like, that's
exactly.
So I mean, but having you mentioned something earlier, a little bit earlier, or you mentioned about the run game, right? And yeah, we want to be a running game guy. So I have a question. Do we have running back 1A and 1B, or do we have running back 1 and running back 2? I mean, I think Tracy is constantly being overrated. However, I can understand why people talk about Scott, not only just for his personality, but he brings a certain kind of leadership and attitude to the game, which, probably, that brings a little leadership. You could see when he played last year that the other guys started to run a little harder. So, I mean, you can't ignore that, right? You can't ignore that fact. But if you look at the stats, they're not that dissimilar, right? So, so just thinking, like, it's got to do with the main guy. Then you go to Tracy. How do you guys see it?
Who wants to answer that first?
I mean, I'll go like, all right, so how I see it and how Harbaugh sees it, I think are two different things. I see it as 1A, 1B with Scott and Tracy. Again, out of his draft class, he's the only one to have 1,000 yards combined from scrimmage in his first 2 years, right? I do think that Harbaugh sees Scat as the number one back because it's his style of running back. But I agree. I think Tracy is slept on. I think he's underrated at this point, and I think he'll be a weapon out of the backfield as well. So if it's me, my opinion, I see him as 1A, 1B. But I think Harbaugh sees him as 1 and 2, in my opinion.
Okay. Yeah, I would say I see it the way that Harbaugh sees it, which is like Scat is the 1, Tracy is the 2. And I think that Tracy is underrated. I think that Tracy was a great fit for the previous offense. I think Tracy is a great fit for 11 personnel or 12 personnel where your quarterback is a threat to run the ball. I think that what gives Scat the advantage is I think that Scat is he's game plan proof. Like, it doesn't matter what type of offense you put him in. He's going to be successful because of how he runs. And then what makes me even more like excited is the idea of you watching, Andrew Thomas collapse the left side. You see Patrick Ricard come across and absolutely mollywop some poor edge rusher that's just trying to go and rush the quarterback. The outside safety guy has to stay outside because he has to be concerned with Dart pulling the ball and going outside and reading. And then you see Scat come, and he doesn't get touched until he gets to 5 and 6 yards down the field. That, to me, that's you don't want to see that. You don't want to see that dude with a head of steam, untouched, 5 and 6 yards, 8 yards, full speed blasting at you, with the ability to cut because he's so low to the ground. Like, that's what makes him good. Now, is he going to do some stuff that's going to get him injured? Do I see him playing 17 games every year? No. Do I think he's a long-term giant? No. I think he's going to have a very short, like, meteoric flash for the Giants, very similar to some other backs we've seen in the past. And I think that's why Tyrone Tracy is so important, because he comes in and gives you a guy that doesn't, like you talked about, the stats aren't that different. He's just a different style of runner. And so he gives you someone where the production doesn't fall off from what Scat was doing. He's just going to give it to you in a different way.
Yeah. And to your point, imagine Tracy running through a big hole that Patrick Ricard opened up with that speed he has. So I think that's where he's going to benefit from this style of offense as well.
Very Keaton Mitchell-esque, right? Like, similar to that.
Yeah, I do believe it's a true running back by committee not with Harbaugh, but with Scatterable being that lead back. The way I see it is like this too. You figure you got a four quarter game, and you getting a heavy dose of Scatterable, wearing down the defense, and then however you want to play it. Obviously, you're going to mix Tracy, and you're not just going to save him for the end of the game. But then you have that change of pace with Tracy to just gas him after Scatterable has beat people.
We shouldn't forget Singletary.
Yeah, I was getting to him. And
I can forget Singletary easily.
I can forget about him too. It's okay.
I can forget him. I know you love him, Mark, but I can forget him.
I'm not. But Singletary isn't the 1 or 2. He's the number 3. So as a number 3 back, I think he's pretty good. I think that's really good for us.
And I thought,
he's a professional.
And I apologize for cutting you off, Mark. And what I think the most important thing too is you're not telling on yourself when you got these running backs in the game. It's not like, Scat's in the game, we're running the ball. Tracy's in the game, we're passing. It's not like that, even with Singletary, because all these guys can help you in both phases, whether it's the run game or the receiving game. So I do think we have, if I were to say, what are some of the strong suits or the strong rooms for the New York Giants, I think we do have a pretty strong running back one. Obviously, when everybody's healthy, and I do believe the Scat is ready to go. We'll find out Wednesday. I don't believe he's going to be on the pup. We already did the announcement for the pup, but I think he won't be on the sideline. I think he actually will be practicing. I don't know, Sean. Do you know
He's
the first day? Yeah, I know, right? With the backups, right? first day in pads. Do we know which day the first day in pads is going to be?
I don't know the first day. Well, are they doing it right day one?
Probably the third or fourth
game.
game.
The chat is usually pretty good.
Knowing Harbaugh, he might be doing it day one. Like, he's not wasting any time. He's taking. I mean, he's what 10 practices in the first 11 days. So yeah, I don't know exactly when it would be, but it yeah.
And you figure we're going to be in West Virginia, but like after those first 2 weeks, like we're going to be heading back pretty soon. To MetLife.
Do we go to Miami first and then
we go to Miami?
Yeah. Because Miami's we got Minnesota the first game of preseason, then we go to Miami, right? Yeah.
Right.
So it's Minnesota then Miami. So we're not going back to MetLife before.
Yeah, we are going back, but
Okay.
I think after we go to Miami, I think that's how it is.
I didn't think we were going to be out there that long. I thought it was like 11 days or was it
something like that, 2 weeks,
11 days out there in West Virginia.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. So we talked a lot about the offense. We got about a half an hour left on the show. I do the 2 hours, try to cut it. I got church tomorrow. We got to cut. But now I do want to talk about the defense. And my first question to everybody is, actually no, I'm gonna switch it. I want to talk about a camp battle. I want to talk about the CP2 spot. And of course we're gonna get to this Tay Banks conversation as well, because there is a clean slate for Banks too.
Yep.
So I'm gonna say Coach Gene, I'm gonna save you for last on this conversation. I'm gonna save you for last. CB2 spot battle. So right now we know that as far as we have Newsome, who we signed, we have Banks, who has a clean slate, and we have Colton Hood, fantastic, second round rookie that we picked up. I'll start with Mark. Camp battle, for the cornerback 2 spot. Who you got leading right now that spot?
Why do we assume it's only a CB2 competition?
Okay, talk about it.
Because the CB1 makes too much money to not play. They can't cut him.
But this is horrible. This is horrible, right? Mm-hmm. Anyway, but I'm being a little facetious. So the point is really that clearly there's Newsome, who's got a contract that says he could be the CB2. Then we've got Banks, who's tearing it up without any pads or anything like that. So we'll see. We don't know. And of course we've got the draft pick, right? Who Harbaugh said, yeah, he'll probably compete for the starting position as well. So that's all good in my opinion. And I would think that Newsome has the head start. That's what I would think. But I wouldn't be shocked if Hood gets in there. I'm not. Well, Banks has all the athleticism and all of that kind of stuff. I just see him make some boneheaded plays over and over again, make the same mistake over again from last year. I don't know. I've heard, he had some issues and maybe his head wasn't in the game. I don't know, but we have to see it when you're actually having a game on the field and you're cutting inside when you should be holding the outside. And so Banks, I don't have him as entering that CB2, but I do have him as a good backup. And if he's our number 4 guy, I think that's not bad.
Let me take that one down, put this one on. There we go. I had to get the defense up. All right, Sean.
Yeah.
The CB2 battle.
Yeah. So, all right. So the first thing I'll say is at least there's good reports from camp that Tay Banks is getting his head around. So that's progress. So I'll give him credit for that. My biggest issue with Banks is I don't think he's a good zone defender. I don't think he understands the concept of zone. I don't think he's a smart football player, and that's not to be saying anything overly bad. It's just facts from what I've seen is he struggles in zone. If he's playing press man and all he says is follow that guy, I think he can do that. His biggest thing was turning his head around. So Be dependent upon how they use him in this thing. I agree with Mark. I think Newsome is leading the way right now. I think people are sleeping on Newsome because of what he did in Jacksonville, but I don't think that was a good scheme fit for him. You got to remember, he's got experience going up against George Pickens twice a year when, he was in Cleveland and Pickens was in Pittsburgh. So that's an advantage he's going to have there. But I would not be surprised because, again, if you listen to Harbaugh's words, when he talks about certain guys, that gives me the impression that guy legit could be in the competition to be the starter. And I think Colton Hood fits what Harbaugh's looking for with that. So it would not surprise me if Colton Hood, I know he's a rookie, so that he's got that working against him, but it would not surprise me if he wins that CB2 battle. But right now I do think Newsome has the heads up just because of where he's been in the league, what he's done. But I like Hood a lot. I think he's a very good fit for this defense and what they're trying to do. And I think all the coaches, Denard Wilson spoke highly of him as well. So when you have those two guys talking highly about a player, it makes me take notice and be like, he's got a real shot to start. So that's my thoughts there.
So quick follow-up question to that. Sean, when you say Hood, are you saying Hood to start the season, or are you saying he works his way into that starting spot?
So it would not surprise me if he starts week 1. But I think it might be he works his way into that later in the season. But it would not surprise me if Harbaugh puts him out there week 1.
Okay. Coach Gene, CB2 battle. What we got?
I think all of these guys are going to be necessary. And they're all going to, I think all three of them can play a role on this team, whether they start or not. So I'll go from there. What concerns me about the competition is a lot of us don't just admit that we didn't know what we were getting when we got it. And so I think that we have to like open our eyes to who these guys are. Greg Newsome was playing in Cleveland. He played at an extremely high level at Cleveland, and his production fell off the cliff. He went from being an all-pro caliber cornerback one year to not being able to stick with anybody. Like, it wasn't just a game. It was several games. So bad that they benched him and then got him out of town, like traded him away. Then he went to Jacksonville, and he couldn't guard a soul in Jacksonville either. I don't know if he has the ability to stay with people man-to-man anymore, like on a consistent basis. The elite level, the NFC East has a lot of wide receivers. You gotta have your ballet slippers on for. They're gonna take you up and through it. And I don't know if he has that anymore. But I do think he is probably the best pro of all three of those guys.
Okay.
Colton Hood is in desperate need of a weight room. He needs to get there immediately. He needs to find a cot, sitting there, sleep. He needs probably another 15 pounds on him. Like, I worry about that. And he is always falling for like a shifty move. Like, you saw it at Colorado. You saw it when he transferred. I thought the worst move he made was chasing the money and transferring to Tennessee, because he was coming along in Colorado. Then he had to learn a whole different system. When he went to Tennessee, he went and chased the money in what was perceived to be better competition. But the truth is the Big 12 throw the ball all over the place. So as a cornerback, that's probably where you want to be at, right? Like, if you're just thinking about development. So he comes in, and then we saw him in the in the Senior Bowl getting cooked on a regular basis. Like, he's going to need some time to get everything there. People don't want to admit it. They don't want to hear that Tay Banks is doing well. They don't want to hear that Tay Banks is performing well. People keep like harping on this whole turn his head around thing. And I'm going to tell you, there are a lot of defensive back coaches out there that do not teach turning your head around. Yeah, that's not like something he's doing like out of nowhere. They're teaching these guys to play through the hands. That's why Tay Banks doesn't get interceptions. He never had interceptions. In college, he wasn't an interception defensive back. He was a pass breakup defensive back. That's what he was in the NFL before he all of a sudden like fell out of favor with everybody. He was a pass breakup defensive back. Like, that's who he was. So I think he can continue to be that, especially if they tell him, hey, go grab that dude, follow him wherever he goes. Don't let him go to the bathroom. whatever. Just keep the ball out of his hands. If they just keep it simple for him like that, I think you could see a world where you would see Newsome and Tay Banks kind of like tag teaming that position. And then as Hood comes along and gets more adept to the physicality and gets a little bit calmer with his feet, he could have a say somewhere and get an opportunity to play in dime packages and things of that nature. I don't think it's going to be Hood out the gate, but I'm thinking with my brain. I'm not thinking with their brain in this case.
Okay. Now,
obviously, can I add one other point? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, well, the other thing that I factor in when it comes to Hood is Harbaugh coached his uncle. And so he's got that NFL lineage. So Roderick Hood is Colton Hood's nephew. And I don't discount that when it comes to being ready to play in the NFL. And I think that's a huge thing to go with. And I also think it gives Hood an advantage in Harbaugh's eyes if he already likes what he sees and he knows what his uncle was, and his uncle is speaking very highly of his nephew. So that's another point I think that needs to be considered as well. It's just, again, he's got that NFL lineage going there. Didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry, Dash.
Soglo had a statement here. Says playing through the hands ain't going to work on strong-handed receivers. Now that's one thing. It
worked early.
That's one thing I would say too, man. When it works, nobody talked about it because Bradbury, that we had a few years back, he played through the hands of the receiver, and nobody had issues with that when you're successful. But I will say Tay Banks. Well, go ahead, Mark. That was you.
No, don't say it. DB coach Jerome Henderson. That's what he taught. That's how he thought to play through the hands. I was just going to say that obviously a lot of it depends on the scheme. And Denard Wilson, what he showed as a DC has been more like press zone than man to man, in my opinion, so far. But that might be just because of the kind of players he's had. And what I'm hearing or getting feedback from so far is more man than I would have thought. So maybe he's adjusting to the players that he has on this roster. So I find that very interesting. And not necessarily comparisons, but kind of a likeness to kind of like what Wink did or whatever the case may be. So I'm interested to see what that is, because the reputation that he came with doesn't seem to be what he might be doing. That's so far.
Tennessee had one of the worst secondaries, though, so he had to do what he had to do in order to try to survive over there.
I understand.
Like I think that was what it is. But if you look at what he was as a DB coach when he was over with Baltimore, I think what you're seeing him put in right now is probably closer to what he would want to be just based off of his DNA from over there.
And that's interesting too, because obviously you want your coordinators to build a scheme around the strengths of the players. And we saw last year you had a bunch of press man corners, even a Debo history press man, Banks press man. You can look at Newsome in the way the Cleveland played defense, and now and again the Colton Hood. I think he can do almost anything, as far as schemes go. But how much of this Denard Wilson scheme is built on strength or built on what he likes to do, strength of the players, or what he likes to do? And to your point, Mark, it is a lot different than what we expected. Like when you go back and watch some of those Tennessee games, you're trying to get a feel of what Denard Wilson is, and you really can't, because the roster is just totally different. The skill set of the players totally different. And also he had to make a big change too, because when he first got here, his expectation was Dexter Lawrence was going to be here. And once Dexter Lawrence, flew the coop, and then luckily we ended up signing DJ Reader. But the main question to this defense is, can we stop the run? So my next question with some of these additions, again, I like DJ Reader. He was the second most double teamed defensive tackle outside of Dexter Lawrence. Pretty stout. He's not a 3-down guy, though. We understand that. Shelby Harris, I think Shelby Harris should have a good impact. But I would say surprise player, if we go back to that, since we're talking about defense now, is Darius Alexander, the development of Darius Alexander and what we get from Darius Alexander. So I'm gonna ask you guys a question, and I know what was it? I can't find the comment now, but do you guys think? I remember just trying to remember exactly what he said. Do you guys think that the New York Giants have done enough to try to address this run defense? and anybody could take that first. Coaching, I saw you.
I'll go really quick, and I'll be very brief. Did they change defensive coordinators?
Yes, they did.
Then they addressed what was the biggest issue with this like rush defense, and I'm really pissed about it because it made people think that Bobby Okereke was no longer a good linebacker because of how he played in that terrible ass defense, and I like for the life of me, I will never get over that. Like to me, that I've never seen a coach commit career suicide like was done in that regime. and I'll say this: the way they're going to play
now. Are you
now,
talking about a DC or are you talking about the AHC?
What's that?
Are you talking about the DC or are you talking about the
I'm
AHC?
talking about the head coach hiring the DC. Like
okay,
he was
good.
bad
I
in
just
Tennessee.
want to be clear. I just want to be clear.
Yeah, he was bad in Tennessee. They couldn't stop the run in Tennessee. The problem was they couldn't stop the pass either. So people just passed all over him like it was going out of style. And that's what made his numbers look decent, right? But he never could stop the run in Tennessee. He got a job because he was on the staff with another dude who was the DC that got a job as a head coach. So I think with the players that they've brought in on the interior are going to allow them to allow these linebackers who are not fit and shed linebackers. They're really more just go ball, get ball, see ball, get ball linebackers. Mm-hmm. They're going to allow those dudes to run and just go and get the ball. I think that's the key. And I'm concerned more about them being able to create pressure with the front from a pass perspective, but from a run perspective, I'm not going to be concerned at all because I think Alexander will be able to play his natural 4 technique. You'll see Shelby Harris playing the 4 technique. You'll see Reader at the 0 inside. You'll see them guys kick in and let the edge rushers do what the edge rushers are supposed to do. You're not going to have Thibodeau playing a 3 technique in a run, like on a run scenario where you're asking him to stop the run or Abdul Carter. You're not going to do that to those guys.
Yeah. So I'm going to say something real quick to that. So with Darius Alexander playing more of his natural position, and you said, possibly 4 technique, do you feel like he's more shaded inside as a 4-eye or straight up head with the tackle?
No, he'll probably move all around there. He'll probably be some in the 5, some in the 4-eye. Okay. I think when it's an obvious passing down, you might see him move down to a 1 technique or a 0 and be the interior pass rusher from there. Like I could see them doing that. But I think he'll play all over that, like whether that's inside the tackle or head up the tackle.
Okay. Sean, go ahead, Mark.
No, I mean I agree. Look, Coach, I think all of what you said is absolutely spot on. But I think at the end of the day, Reader and Harris and Alexander are probably only going to play no more than 60% of snaps. So the depth of that D-line is going to issue. Now, maybe it comes at the right time if you do the right things on the first down and the second down. Maybe you're that's what you got to be hoping for, and then therefore you're not even having maybe only having 2 D linemen maybe on the field and on the third down. So but that's going to be key because we're not sure what we got as depth. I got some time for Sam Roberts, but who knows? I don't know. He was a little injured. Who knows what's going to happen? Are we banking on a 6th round pick who looks kind of promising? I don't know. So the depth of that D-line is key because these guys can only play about 6% of snaps.
They got 13 of them, so I know. They got 13 defensive linemen right now.
And let's not forget about Chauncey.
But 13 of what?
Yeah, let's not forget about Chauncey Golston as well. I think he was underutilized and injured. Now he's utilized the right way there too.
And
so yeah.
Sorry, Sean. I don't want to. I just want to say what you mean when you bring about Chauncey Golston. Yeah. Is that what I noticed about John Schmelt's interviews? He interviewed him with the D line. He didn't interview him with the outside linebackers. He interviewed him with the D line. So is that saying something? I don't know. Wait, go ahead. I interrupted you.
No, your foot. That's good. So a couple things that I think here. I think because we've had Dexter Lawrence for so long that the focus has been on the D line when it comes to stopping the run. But here's what I'm going to say. I think Denard Wilson, with the linebackers that we have, it's going to be back of like the 80s Giants linebackers where you couldn't run on this team because they're going to be more like a traditional 3-4 where the linebackers are the focus of stopping the run. You look at these guys on the field. You got Carter, you got Edmonds, you got Reese, and you got Burns, who can all play to run really well, right? You got Tibbs in there. So then, to me, and I don't know that they'll do this, but I would love to see them put Kayvon Thibodeaux with his hands in the dirt, like a true DN, like he was in college. And then you have all those guys on the field at the same time. And Tibbs is much better against the run than people give him credit for. I know those stats are out there, but to me, again, as Coach said, you change the coach. The scheme is going to help with that. But I think these linebackers are going to be the focus. I think Wilson understands what he has there. So to me, losing Dexter Lawrence, because we couldn't stop the run with Dexter here anyway. So it didn't matter, right? So now it's going to be focused where it needs to be because we have a 3-4 personnel. Get those linebackers. They need to stop the run. So I'm excited to see what these guys can do, the speed, the athleticism, the size of them. I think the run is not an issue. And the guys like DJ Reader and our 6th-round draft pick, who's another 3-name guy. By the way, do we lead the league in 3-name guys on our roster? I'm just kind of curious because there's a lot of them, and I can't remember all their names because it's 3 names. I'm sorry, but the guy from Auburn, right? Like he's going to take up 2 blocks. DJ Reader's going to take up 2 blocks. Like DJ Reader was second to Dexter Lawrence, I think, last season in double teams. So that's what you got to do. Have guys open, running, and free. And that's what we did. Like, so scheme and our linebackers are going to stop the run. And I think and Darius Alexander is going to be utilized better with this coach with that. So I think we need to take our focus away from the D line when stopping the run and focus more on our linebackers stopping the run.
I like that. Coach. I know you.
Yeah, no, I just think the best way to get the linebackers to stop the run is to keep offensive linemen off of them. So, like these guys up front, they need to be the catalyst for the linebackers to flow to the ball, right? Like that's what I mean when I think about it.
That gap integrity.
And yes. I love Golston, but Golston is in my opinion, Golston is a legitimate 4-3 defensive end. He's going to have to play a 4-5. He's going to have to play the same type of position that Alexander's going to play. I think he'll be utilized to come in on obvious passing downs. I think they have enough guys on the defensive line to platoon those dudes. It's just what combinations are you going to come up with? I think Kayvon Thibodeaux, out of all of the edge rushers, is the best run defender of them all because he's the best natural with fitting and shedding blocks. The other guys, they use speed only to do that. Whereas Thibodeaux will use leverage. He uses his arms well to to long arm people to try to get leverage. If he's going to be the sacrificial lamb this year because I think he's going to play really well, but it's not going to equate into statistics, which is going to make people think he's not worth re-signing. And then he'll be somewhere else, possibly even get traded, halfway through the year. And then you'll hear me on my podcast once again talk about another elite level defender that the Giants let go somewhere else because they couldn't figure out his real legitimate value. So I think that'll be his fate here in New York because of how many people they have. Yeah, I think that it was really telling that they went out and got Arvell Reese and then doubled back and got Jack Kelly in the late rounds. Jack Kelly is the Costco Arvell Reese, right?
I understand,
He's the same type of guy who can be a stand-up linebacker, but also an edge rusher. So now he gives you another guy in the edge rushing pool, another, with Arvell Reese. I just think it'll be a squeeze out for Kayvon. But while he's here, he's going to be really, really good for this rush defense. And it just may not always show up on the stat sheet.
Yeah, I think just real quick, to clarify, like when I'm talking about not focusing on the D line, and Mike got confused in some of the comments, but when I'm talking about not focusing on the D line to stop the run, I mean not them making the tackles, like taking blocks, letting the run backers run free. That's the thing, and I think that's what we haven't do. Again, in years past, whether it was Wink, whether it was whatever, like it wasn't just Shane Bowen that we couldn't stop the run. We haven't stopped the run in years. And again, I think it's because we're relying on the wrong people. Like we're in a 3-4 personnel and we're worried about our D line being the tacklers and stopping the run, as opposed to getting in the way, freeing up our linebackers to make play. And I think that's what Darnell Wilson's going to do. So I just wanted to clear it up quick there.
For sure. I think the fact that Dexter Lawrence is not here and we're not paying him $21 million a year or whatever it is, makes it more of a possibility that Kayvon Thibodeaux stays, because we were going to have we would want Dexter Lawrence around. We are paying Burns, so I mean, Thibodeaux is going to want more than 21 million. We know that, right? But the point is that it makes it more of a possibility to me. Why weaken our strength? If Thibodeaux wants 35 million. Well, okay, but the point is that maybe it was 35 million.
Hey,
you might,
you've been a Giants fan a long time.
Say again.
You've been a Giants fan a long time.
Long time.
They have weakened their strengths on a regular basis around here.
Well, I know, but let's hope that doesn't happen with Harbaugh being the coach and him having as much say in personnel as he does. Right? Because. We know that Coughlin and Reese didn't get along, and we know that Reese did a horrible job as a GM, in my opinion. And the team just kept getting worse and worse, and we kept depending on the players that were there for a long time, and and all that. We can get into all that, but the point is that with Harbaugh having the kind of power that he has and kind of say in personnel, I like to think that he will have a great say in that, and we shouldn't be looking to get rid of Thibodeaux. But it also depends on, what it takes. Two hands to clap. So we'll see.
Yeah, and I'm with the camp of wanting to sign Kayvon Thibodeaux, because for me, who else are you paying? And by the time you get to these next big contracts, the possibly Darts and Neighbors and stuff like that, like for me, a 3-year extension for Kayvon Thibodeaux makes sense. But again, if he's asking for top edge rusher money, which I don't think he would, depending on what happens this season, like if I'm Joe Schoen, I'm proactive. I'm getting the deal done before he has one of these fantastic seasons. I think last year we were sitting here waiting on Wan'Dale Robinson and Cordell Flott. You should have got those deals done in the summer. And then what happened? They have good seasons. You can't afford them. I think right now with Tibbs, he's not giving you no hometown discounts. That's not going to happen because he's about his business and his paper. But I think if you give him a respectable deal, I think he might take it, because he has been injured and he has not played a full season every year that he's been here. But yeah, I'm with the camp of keeping him. I see my man Soulglow says he's a little bit stiff on the outside. I don't think so. I think he plays, like I said, he sets the edge better than Brian Burns, in my opinion.
Yep.
A different type of animal, and that's because he was more of a defensive end than an outside linebacker in Oregon. So
that's a good question. 3 years of what? Soulglow 84 asked 3 years at what?
Oh, for me, 3 years, 86 million, 22 million per. Obviously, guarantees will be less than that. That's where I'm at with it. I'm not with the camp of $24-25 million. I threw a comparison for Nick Herbig for Pittsburgh, a guy that was in a rotational role. He got a 4-year, $100 million deal, but his production as a third or fourth rounder, way up there. And then obviously he's probably gonna take over Highsmith's spot in about a year now too over there in Pittsburgh. So for me, Kayvon, I believe Spot Rack had him at 21 million per. So I'll say anywhere from 21 to 22 million per is where I think is a respectable offer. But I don't know what Kayvon's thinking at the end of the day. I know he's one of the hardest workers out there as far as, putting in the work in his craft and stuff like that. But we'll see what happens with that. My man says, "Stop it, no way." Listen, man, you got to pay somebody.
Don't understand. I think a lot of people just don't understand value. I'm gonna be honest, and this this is no diss to anybody that doesn't get it. But I think the problem and what people see about Kayvon is he's not getting double-digit sacks every year. If he was getting double-digit sacks every year, nobody would say a word. People out here really think that Nick Bosa is a really good defensive player. He's not. Nick Bosa just gets sacks. That's it. He doesn't affect or change or alter the game any other way than let me rush the quarterback. And a lot of his sacks are empty calorie sacks. It's those times where, this was over anyway, and they're just throwing the ball because you play against Arizona 2 times a year, right? Like, when you see those guys who are really like the game changers, they wreck your whole side. And I think that Kayvon Thibodeau is a guy who has the ability to be a nuisance as a run defender, and he can be a legitimate double-digit sack guy in a conglomerate. It just won't be every year because somebody's going to beat him to the punch. How many times last year did we see Kayvon Thibodeau and Abdul Carter right by the quarterback when Brian Burns was making a sack?
Yeah.
If Burns isn't there, they're going to make that sack. Like, that changes everything.
Yeah.
I like this point by Dealer. He says, I think the question with Tibbs is, does he want to be the every down defensive player, or is he okay with being a piece of the defense? That is a good question, because last year he was able to kind of like hold off Abdul Carter. This year, and this year Abdul Carter right now seems to be the unquestioned guy playing across from Brian Burns. And this is going to be something different for Thibodeau this year. But again, it's a good problem for Dennard Wilson to have and to solve. I'll say that for Dennard Wilson. Definitely got it, because we closing out. So a question for everybody, man. Do you think the Giants have done enough right now to compete in this division? Mark, I'll go with you first.
Yeah, I mean, building on that offensive line, getting the right coach. Well, firstly, the right coaches in, right? Like the right coaching team in. Harbaugh has taken his time. He put together a team in a very systematic way. I don't remember who it is. Maybe it was Sean who said Callahan is underrated as a coach in this whole thing. And for sure, I mean, you got a top-notch coach who just was a head coach, okay? He didn't do great as a head coach, but he's been a QB coach, and he's been linked with a number of really good quarterbacks, Peyton Manning, just to drop one name, And I think that's so you're putting the right coaching around people. And if you don't have a quarterback, you don't have anything. So that's good. That's the foundation right there. So, I think the offensive line, the QB, and we know we really – that linebacking core right in there, rush the passer, stop the run. I think that's it. And I think we did quite a bit to improve ourselves this year. Absolutely.
Sean.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think what we added on offense with getting Isaiah Likely, I think he's going to, I know somebody just put in the comment you posted, I think he's going to be our wide receiver too. He's our offensive weapon too. That's what I think they're going to utilize him as. I think, to me, the biggest thing is the coaching staff. Like, this is a coaching staff that is, we haven't seen this since probably the 80s Giants with the Bill Parcells staff. I think Coughlin had a very good staff, but I think this staff has more experience than what Coughlin's staff did. So I think that alone, because you look at this season last year, this is a team that easily could have won 8 or 9 games, right? Like, if we just could have had a defensive coordinator and some things done there. So when you add this type of experience and you bring in the Dennard Wilson and you bring in, a guy that is, when you look at coaching staff on the offensive side, is Chad Hall with the wide receivers. I think that's a huge upgrade from what we've had in the past. I think it's going to make a big difference there. So just the coaching staff alone, I think they've done enough to compete, not even including what they signed and who they drafted. So, yeah, I do think that.
Cool. Coach, you think the Giants have done enough to compete in the division?
I think they've done enough to compete in the division, even though I don't know if they've done enough to win the division. I think they've done enough to be competitive. I do believe that if certain people step up, if certain things fall the way you would want them to fall, they could compete for it, but it's a lot of ifs. And to me, anytime you go into a year with your back third having so many questions on defense, it's a scary time. Everybody's worried about like this team not stopping the run, but like the inability to stop the run last year and the year before hurt the team because it made it harder for them to come back. But they lost a lot of those leads because they were getting bombed away on, right? Like they lost a lot of those games because they got behind early because of big plays through the air. And so like if they can find some continuity on that third level to be consistent, especially at the safeties, which we didn't talk a lot about, but it's probably, in my opinion, the worst part of our defense right now, like this, or at least the biggest question mark for me, because I know what these corners are. Like the biggest question mark for me is what are they going to do with the safeties? Like if they can answer that, then I think they have a chance, because I think offensively they will be able to dictate pace better than they've been able to dictate pace in any other season over the last 5 years. We'll say that.
I agree with that. And you know what? We hit the 2-hour mark, but I did see some people also asking about the safety spot, so I will talk about the safety spot really quickly. When it comes to the safety spot for me, can Jevon Holland turn into something that he used to be? It'd be my main point saying that. And then can Tyler Nubin turn into what he looked like in Minnesota? Now, when they had the player interviews with John Schmoke, one thing that Tyler Nubin did say is that Denard Wilson is introducing some things that are similar to what he did at Minnesota. So I was happy to hear that. But just really quickly going around the circle, and while I do that, I am going to put the links to YouTube channels in the chat. That safety spot, and I'll go to you, Coach Gene, since you mentioned it first.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of confidence in Tyler Nubin the way he's been played or utilized over the first couple of years of his career. I think he's a second level safety. I think that's how he should be used, almost like a middle hole robber, or coming down and being a nickel safety, if you will. I think Pinnock is a guy who I would feel more comfortable with because I know he understands how to be back on the third level. Jevon Holland is not a prototypical third level safety. He is a joker. He's a wild card. Let him be an athlete and run around and make plays. So the other guy has to be able to operate in that sphere. And I think that's probably going to be Pinnock as a better person to play there than maybe even Ardarius Washington or Tyler Nubin.
All right, Sean, what you got with the safeties?
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously reasons to be concerned, right? But here's my thing. I'm 98% of that defense, I'm not judging players based on who we had the last 2 years as a defensive coordinator. I don't think he utilized them the right way. I think that was tough. If you also look at who our safety coach is now, we brought him over from Kansas City. He has had great success with development things. I do think Nubin, because he's been brought up here a couple times, he was not utilized the way he was. Listen, he broke Antoine Winfield's interception record in college, right? Like, I do think he has the ability to cover deep more than maybe people think. I just think when you come in as a rookie and you're behind the 8 ball already and you have Shane Bowen as your defense coordinator, I think that's an issue there. I do think, I know our Ardarius Washington brought up, that's a guy I would not sleep on to potentially take in one of those starting safety spots. I because he was a starter in Baltimore, so don't be surprised if he takes that. But I think this coaching staff, because again, listen to Harbaugh's words. He was very high on Tyler Nubin in college. They were a guy that they really scouted heavily and they really liked in college. So to me, again, if you listen, like Harbaugh doesn't give coach speaks. Like when he says something, he usually backs it up, and that's the way it's going to go. So don't be surprised if they're utilizing Tyler Nubin the way that they saw what he did in college, that Shane Bowen, for whatever reason, couldn't duplicate that fact there. So is there reason for concern? Yes. But again, I'll say this. When you have Shane Bowen as your defense coordinator the last 2 years, I'm not judging anybody on that defense outside of a couple players that I will judge one being Tay Banks. So, but other than that, everybody else gets a clean slate for me for the most part. So that's my thoughts on the safeties there.
All right,
I don't have
Tay Banks.
I did that mostly for Coach because I know he's been really pushing Tay Banks tonight, so I had to give him a little pushback there, a little fun.
Just a little pushback. I'm going to say something that's probably maybe not, it's maybe a little different. I actually don't have as big a concern about the safeties as I have about the cornerbacks. I have more concern about the cornerbacks than the safeties. I think the coaching, obviously, the coaching makes a big difference. We get that. I think Pinnock is a underrated get back. So I think that helps with the depth there and so forth. And Ardeers Washington is pretty good. I mean, when in 2024 he was doing his thing, and he got injured and so forth. So I think he's a very good addition to this. And so I'm not as concerned about the safeties as I am concerned about the cornerbacks. So that's where I am anyway.
Mm-hmm. Good. And like I said, Coach, you brought him up. So any closing thoughts on the safeties outside of that? I know you said
no. I think it's a great thought that you kind of have to give them an incomplete because of who their defensive coordinator is. But I do think that when you look at Nubin's film from Minnesota, a lot of his damage was done at the second level. And if they let him roam like that and play in that world, I think he could really have a resurgence.
Yeah.
I'm just concerned about him as a deep hash guy or as a deep middle guy.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Yeah,
and I appreciate that. So we hit the time. We hit the time for sure. A fantastic episode of Late Night Giants Talk, aka the Giants Family Reunion. Before we go, we're gonna get some closing thoughts. Mark, I would say let the people know where they can find you, but we're still trying to push you to start this channel. But they can follow you. Where can they find you, Mr. Mark Thompson?
Oh, I don't know. I'm just so wrong. But what I will say is that maybe I'll give Tudo a buzz because I plan to go hit Italy sometime in late September.
Yeah, we got to
hit
Italy.
That's what I'll say. Maybe you'll find me in Italy. I don't know. But had a great time tonight, guys. Excellent and great talking to Coach Clemens, sort of like one-on-one, and sometimes we would, text, but that's about it. So anyway.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much, Mark, and also enjoy. Well, it's nighttime over there now, but enjoy that beachfront view. I always tell you that, man. But you have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Sean, man, let the people know where they can find you.
Yes, on Twitter, it's JokerSean37 on Twitter. You can NewYorkGiantsRush.com. You can watch us every Monday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time on New York Giants Rush. We actually are going to have a preview show again on Wednesdays as well. I'll be on there occasionally doing a segment there as well. But yeah, that's the places you can find me. And this is awesome. And I know Coach G and I have had a little interaction on Twitter, some back and forth there.
All love, Zach, by the way.
Absolutely. No, we get it. We're former coaches. We get it. We get it. So it's nice to actually be live, talking back and forth, and having good interaction here. So yeah, I appreciate the invite. Appreciate being on. It's a lot of fun, man. I'll come back anytime you want to have me on, Dash.
Hey Sean, you see the comment here, right, from Soul Glow?
What is my Caucasian brother's page?
We gave you the information.
It's New York Giants Rush on YouTube. Yep, absolutely. And then I'm Joker Sean 37 on Twitter. And yes, I am. Yeah. I'll just listen. So he brought it up. I'm gonna say this. In my lifetime, I have been invited to a few cookouts. That's all I'll say right there.
He's made a couple cookouts. Okay.
Now,
absolutely.
I appreciate that, Sean. I do have the channel is in the chat. The channel's in the chat. You guys go ahead and subscribe to New York Giants Rush and follow him on his social media as well. As always, Sean, appreciate it, man. You have a great night, man. Thank you for
later
on having this discussion with us.
Later, guys. Appreciate it. Take care.
Later.
Have a good one.
All right, Coach,
you
man.
Know what it is, Dash.
Listen, man. I appreciate you joining. Great conversation, great discussion. Obviously you put in the hard work too, man. I see you over there at SI. Giant issues all the time. I'm locked in to see what you got to say. You see me. There were certain subjects in here specifically for you.
Yeah, I saw. I appreciate it too.
I was happy you was able to get in here. But let the people know where they can find you, man, and what you're up to.
Yeah, you can follow me anywhere on social media at Gene Clemens. That's X, that's Instagram, wherever else you might go. Check out my my private YouTube page, Coach Gene Clemens, if you want to see just random intersections of sports and culture and all the other stuff that I have going on. But if you want to just talk some Giants talk, come hit me up. New York Giants on the SI, the YouTube channel. Hit that up, hit a subscribe. We're trying to continue to get those numbers up like my boy Dash over here, right? You know what I'm saying? It's a one-man show. I'm trying to put the whole family on my back right now. And make sure you go over to the New York Giants on SI and check out all of the articles that we're writing. I've got some really fun stuff that just came out. I put the entire 91-man roster into tiers. Okay. And so you can see guys like that'll be out right now. It's probably out right now, but definitely in the morning if it's not out right now. And all of the stuff to get us to training camp where we can start talking real football that's happening right now. I'm so excited. I'm excited for all the Giants fans to hopefully have a winner to talk about on a week out basis, because we all know it's more fun when the winning's happening, right? And next time we get together one of these, we got to have a beverage in hand or something, because I'm like, man, I'm gonna be talking all this. I gotta have me a beverage right here.
I keep a water close. Yeah, man. Like I said, these are 2 hours, man. And you, like I said, normally I do these by myself, so you can imagine me after this show. But I appreciate you for joining. Great insight as always, man. You have a good night, man. Definitely gonna have you on, and I'll reach out to you, man, for sure. I'll reach out to you.
I appreciate it, man. You have a great night. Appreciate it. Man.
Thank you. Oh, go back. You didn't get a chance to do your salute. Oh, he's gone. No problem. So let me go ahead and fix the screen. So hopefully everybody enjoyed the show. Again, late night Giants talk, Giants family reunion. Training camp right around the corner, man. 4 days away. I'm excited. I know everybody else is excited. We're gonna answer a lot of questions this week too, man. So where Malik Neighbors really stands, not being on the PUP list, but where is he at as far as working on the sidelines, or if we're not going to see him at all? When are we going to finally be in pads is another question as well. And yeah, I'm excited for all that. For the people that are going to training camp, man, salute to y'all. Be safe and enjoy your New York Giants. But with that being said, I want to thank everybody for vibing with me. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And from one Giants fan to another, this is Big Dash Knows, Big Blue Nation. Let's go.